Hi, my name is Dan Jensen. I've been in the direct selling industry for 35 years now, working with over 1,000 direct selling companies around the world. A number of my clients are the leading companies of the industry. Many of them are generating over $1 billion a year in revenue. I love this industry, and I'm anxious to teach you some of the secrets I've learned as I've worked with these companies and worked with thousands of leaders around the world. I want to share with you some concepts and principles, and I'll even say the word secrets, on how to work the compensation plan. So knowing how to work the compensation plan is even more important than knowing how the compensation plan works. That's the point. And so I want to talk to you now about working the compensation plan. To understand how to work the plan, any plan in a direct selling company, it's vital that we understand the three different roles that exist in the sales force. The first role is that of a consultant, a distributor. They have different names for it, a stylist, whatever that name may be. It's just a generic name for somebody who joins the business. A new consultant will usually work somewhere around 1 to 5 hours a week. They're part-time, very part-time in their level of engagement, kind of test driving, trying the business out. Their focus is on two things: selling and recruiting. Now, everybody, whether you're a leader or a team manager or a consultant, those two things are always there. We'll talk more about that in a second. As a consultant recruits a few people, and maybe even one or two of those recruits recruit somebody else, eventually the consultant is going to become a team manager, a manager of a team. Now, a team manager will usually be at a level of about 8 to 15 hours a week engagement. So they're still very part-time. Team managers have somewhere between 8 to 12 team members, maybe 20 to 25, but it's a personal team. They know every member of their team knows them and looks to them for guidance and leadership and help. The team manager, in most cases, has mastered the idea of selling and recruiting. In doing so, the team manager becomes a trainer, a coach, and a mentor to their own team. The team manager helps each of those team members to do things right, to learn how to sell in the right way, to learn how to recruit in the right way, to learn how to work with their recruits. This is a skill set that you develop over time. Now, a team manager can be compared to a mom or a dad, a parent of a family. You know, if you had 2 or 3 kids, as a mom or a dad, you're going to work with those children and help them to become productive, successful adults later in their lives. In a similar fashion, a team manager works with each team member on their team. I'm a grandpa 15 times over. I've got 5 kids and 15 grandkids. Life is good for me. I love that. I love being a grandpa. But before I was a grandpa, I was a dad. Still am a dad, actually. But as a dad, what did I do? I worked with my sweetheart, married 40 years this year, doing things right. We made mistakes along the way, but we worked to correct those mistakes. We taught our kids to do things right. We tried to teach them how to clean their rooms and brush their teeth, and how to have a good work ethic, how to study and learn at school. We worked with them. This was a serious investment of time on our part, of course. You can't be a successful parent doing it casually. If you're a parent, you know the truth of that. And so it is with a team manager. A team manager is like a parent, and they focus on their team members, helping them to succeed. And the goal? To help them become team managers themselves. Just like for me. As a dad, my goal was to help my kids eventually become moms and dads themselves. Successful ones. and not just successful in their careers, not just successful in the various other things they did in life, but more importantly, with their own families. It's the same here. Another example that you could use to compare is an athletic club, like a soccer team. If you were the coach of a soccer team, what would your role be? First and foremost, to help every member of your soccer team to learn the vital skills they needed to learn to succeed in the game. Learn how to dribble, learn how to score, learn how to get the ball away from the other team. All of the skills that are necessary, the team manager needs to make sure that the team members are learning. Is the team manager the only person doing the training? No. In fact, it's unwise to make it that way. As our family grew and our oldest kids became older in their 16, 17, 18-year-old range of age, we tried to help them to teach their younger siblings from time to time. That's how it works. You teach them how to teach. Team managers do the same. Now, eventually, successful team managers succeed in helping a few of their team members have their own teams. And you move into a new role called a leader. In the world of direct selling, leaders are those who have teams of people below them. My daughter, one of my daughters, I've got 3 daughters, is a perfect example of this. When she joined a direct selling company, about 8 years ago, she joined it with the intent just to make a little bit of part-time money. And she went out and started selling. She was a consultant. Little by little, she recruited one here and one there. Eventually, she had 4 or 5 personal recruits. Eventually, 1 or 2 of them started recruiting. 8 years later now, she has 5,000 people in her organization. Does she know all of them? Of course not. But what she's done successfully is develop teams of people below her. She has about 200, maybe 250 teams of people below her. Now, does she work with all of those team managers? No. She works with a very small number. Most of the people she spends most of her time on are other leaders. She has mastered this principle and concept of leveraging her time with other leaders. They in turn leverage their time with other leaders and other team managers. And as a leader, she focuses on doing the right things, meaning she's not in charge of teaching 5,000 people how to sell or how to recruit. No. But she works with her leaders and helps them to assess where they should focus their time to develop their businesses and make them bigger. It's a simple concept. Do you think my daughter ever expected to have 5,000 people in her organization? Not in a million years. At most, she thought she'd have a half a dozen. But things took off, and it wasn't just luck. There's a little bit of luck. There always is a little bit of luck in it. And it wasn't just finding one superstar. No, she developed people. Those people developed people. And now there are 5,000 people as a result, generating thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars of volume on which my daughter and these other leaders get paid a small percentage. And it's provided a very good income for her while her family has been growing. Her kids are still young. And she doesn't spend enormous amounts of time on her business. She's definitely not full-time. But her business in direct selling has blessed their lives greatly. When her husband, an engineer, was out of work for a few months, it was her income from her business that put food on the table and paid their house payment. And it's a marvelous business that we're in. So those are the 3 roles. And notice how a leader is both a consultant and a team manager. And a team manager is both a team manager and a consultant also. So a leader wears 3 hats. A team manager wears 2 hats. That's how it works. And they get paid very well for it. This is the magic of direct selling. So let's talk about the 5 golden behaviors. To understand how to work the compensation plan, it's vital to know what it is that is going to give us the greatest rewards. Now, as I've worked with so many companies around the world, again, I've seen some patterns out there. In these patterns of success, what I've seen as one of the great lessons is that the successful companies are able to reward their sales force for these 5 golden behaviors. The first of these behaviors is selling. That's pretty obvious. Now, we sell products or services to customers. Selling is a vital behavior, a vital thing to do in order to succeed in direct selling, obviously. The second vital or golden behavior is that of recruiting. We recruit other consultants or representatives. The third behavior is that of building team managers. Again, back to what we just talked about, the 3 roles. The behaviors associated with building team managers is the coaching and the training and the mentoring. That's it. Coaching, training, mentoring. So as a person learns how to coach and mentor and train their personal team members, they are demonstrating the building manager behavior or set of behaviors that's vital to success. As a result of that, they become successful team managers and teach others to do the same. That's what we want. The fourth behavior is that of building leaders. We already talked about leaders, and we'll talk a lot more in my next training segment too. The fifth behavior is retention. Retention is demonstrated through consistent performance. A person who works the business maybe a few hours today, and then maybe a few hours next month, and maybe 1 or 2 hours the next month, that's not a person that you can count on to be successful. You can't count on them to help you be successful. So what you're really looking for are people that are working the business pretty consistently. It doesn't have to be every day. This is a part-time business, but it needs certainly to be every week that they're spending some time on the business. And we try to measure retention and reward it accordingly. The interesting thing is that these 5 behaviors are all interconnected. So if we do really well with the selling and recruiting, retention goes up. If we do well with building leaders, retention goes up, and selling, recruiting, and building managers goes up. They're all interconnected. Now, companies that learn to train their sales force on these 5 behaviors achieve higher levels of success compared to those who don't. But the same lesson is for you. As you work with your team, focus on these 5 behaviors here, and you will be more successful than most others. Help them to learn how to sell, help them to learn how to recruit, help them to become team managers. Once they do, help them to become leaders. So let's focus now on some practical things that we can do. Now, we want to set a goal to become a team manager. And then I'm using this term generically. Your compensation plan will have a title somewhere in the career path that reflects the role of a team manager. Some companies might call it a director or an executive director. Some call it literally a team manager or team leader. They have lots of different names for it, so don't get hung up on names. It's the role. Generally, a team manager is somebody who will have, again, 8, 12, 15, maybe 20, on the high end, 25 or so people on their personal team before they start getting other teams that develop below them. They're going to work 8 to 20 maybe hours per week. So look in your career path for that role. And because this is a generic recording, I'm not specifying a specific compensation plan, your plan, but you can find that. And if you're unsure, call up your upline and ask them about this. So that's the first goal. become a team manager. Now, there are 3 vital steps to making this happen. First step, sell and recruit. Second step, find your rising stars who are in your personal team. And the third step is to help them advance. Help them to advance one step in the career path. We call that ranking up. Help them to rank up. Wherever they're at, if they're a gold consultant, help them to become a platinum consultant. If they're a brand new consultant, help them to become a bronze consultant. Now, I'm making up the title name, so you figure that out on your career path of what every step represents in terms of the requirements. And the goal is to help everybody move to the next step on your team. Now, here's a really important point of wisdom. Growth for you in your income depends on creating more volume. You cannot see your income increase without seeing the volume increase. It's vital that you increase volume. And I'm talking now about team volume or group volume, not just your personal volume. But your personal volume can contribute to that, of course. In order to create more volume, you will find it the easiest way to do that is to help people rank up, get to the next step. Because now you're leveraging the help of many people. Many, 3, 5, 8, 10, whatever. But you're engaging multiple people to create more volume. It's not all on your shoulders. It mustn't be all on your shoulders. Instead, you're going to get rewarded for helping others rank up, creating more volume, and helping them to stick with it, to be more involved. So let's talk about each of these 3 steps. The sell and recruit is step 1. Find your rising stars is step 2. Help them advance is step 3. Okay, first step, selling and recruiting. Now this is you, what you do. This is a vital part of a successful team manager. They become experts at selling and recruiting. Now, if you're a mom or if you're a dad, do you remember when your first child was born? I do. It's burned into my memory. I was scared. I was trembling, in fact, humbled by the reality that I had a son. And I promised my little baby boy that I'd be the best dad I could be. My wife felt the same feelings, and she made the same promise. And, fortunately, all 5 of our kids are wonderful, amazing people. They turned out well, knock on wood. But in a similar fashion, not in a similar fashion, but I think the key to being a good dad or a good mom is being the example, isn't it? Because so goes the parents, so goes the children. In many respects, not always do the children follow the examples of their parents, but most of the time they do. So this is one of the reasons that in order for you to succeed as a team manager, become a successful team manager, you have to learn to do the things that you're going to teach your team members to do. Kind of like a soccer team coach. Can you imagine a soccer team coach trying to teach their team members to succeed when they've never played soccer before? They don't know how to dribble the ball. They don't know how to kick it. They don't know how to protect it. They don't know offense or defense. Wow, that would be tough. So the lesson to learn here is you need to master the skills of selling and recruiting so that you can teach others to master those same skills. So this is where you start. And it never stops. You will always have your personal business of selling and recruiting. Now, selling involves from your skill of selling, you teach your team to earn $25 or more from selling. Now, this is for US and Canada. The dollar amounts would change for Europe or South America or Asia. But in US and Canada, $25 an hour is the goal. Can you teach to that? Yes. You show them how they can earn $25 an hour selling to customers. Simple. This is not rocket science again. Because if they are earning $25 an hour, and if they can see that they're earning $25 an hour, they are going to stick. They're not going to stop. Now, but if they're only earning $5 an hour, $8, $10 an hour, they will find lots of things to do with their time other than selling. Those are the ones that do not stick. So $25 an hour is your goal. Teach them how to do that. You get to that. Figure that out. How do you work effectively? And I'll even use the word efficiently. But really the goal is effectively. For every hour of time you spend in your business selling, you want to be earning a minimum of $25 an hour. And then you teach others to do the same. Now, recruiting is part of your personal business also. If you stop recruiting, guess what? Your team members will stop recruiting. So goes the leader, so goes the team. So you have to continue to recruit. Even if you had recruited 50 or 100 people, you don't stop. Now, the good news is you don't need to recruit 5 or 10 people a month. If you were recruiting 1 person a month, that's okay. 2 people, even better. 3 people, even better. You recruit at the pace that you're comfortable with, because you're not just going to recruit them, but you're going to work with them and help them succeed. But where do we recruit people? Answer: it's by the selling process. If you're in a party plan company, where do you find your prospective recruits? At the party. If you're not in a party plan company and you sell one-on-one, where do you find your recruits? In the one-on-one selling experiences. It's not about renting a meeting room at a hotel, filling it up with 50 people, and trying to get a bunch of recruits. Leaders do that from time to time. But 99% of the recruiting that occurs does not recruit that way. It happens one-on-one. No selling, no recruits. It's really a simple formula there. This is a pattern that I constantly see. And this is another reason why you've got to continue looking for customers to buy your products. Then as you learn how to recruit and it becomes second nature and comfortable to you, you're helping people to succeed. This is not a hard sell. You're helping people to earn a part-time income and make their lives better. That's what recruiting is really all about. It's a service. Really. Well, once you learn how to do that, you teach them to recruit as well. One of the secrets I've learned is that when you recruit somebody and teach them to recruit, the sticking power, the retention, more than doubles. When a new recruit brings a friend into the business, the 2 of them are twice as likely to stay. Remember that secret. It's a secret that some of the best leaders in the world have learned, and they teach their people the same. So it doesn't work just to recruit somebody and teach them how to sell and stop. No. You want them to bring a friend into the business as quickly as possible. Same day that they join if possible. Get 2 people to join together, 2 friends, and they will work the business together and you'll help them succeed. So there's some secrets. But we start this whole process of becoming a successful team manager through selling and recruiting yourself, and then teaching others to do the same. Now, here's a very important principle and concept as well. There are 2 income streams that every consultant, every representative learns to obtain. The first income stream is listed here. It's called simply personal profits. This is your selling commission. What do you get for selling products to customers? Notice how the line right down here increases in the amounts that a person earns kind of steeply, if you will. There's a steep rise in the early stages, the first and second month, maybe the third month. Eventually, however, it plateaus. It gets kind of flat. Now, why is that? There's a simple answer to this. If you're in a party plan company, it's because your calendar gets filled and you can't spend any more time on the business. You start giving parties or booking parties for some of your team members at that point. But you figure out how much time you can spend on your business selling. Now, there is another line here. It's the team commissions, the commissions that you get helping others on your team, your personal recruits and their personal recruits, helping them succeed. Your team commissions are vital to your success. Eventually, they will grow and grow. Eventually, they will intersect so that you'll be making more money from your team commissions than you will from your personal profits. Notice how personal profits does not increase perpetually, but team commissions does. This is where the serious money in this business is made, by helping others succeed. It's really not, again, it's not rocket science. But notice, if you will, the team commissions starts slower. While we get immediate money by selling, the team commissions is kind of an organic, natural growing process. It takes longer. Why? Several reasons. First, it takes longer to get your recruits that you bring in to start generating any kind of serious volume, because they have a ramp up or a startup period too. It takes them a few weeks usually to start creating volume on which you get paid a team commission. Now, you might start getting a check in your first month, but most people it takes 2 or 3 months before they start getting a check on team commissions. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, you wanted it to be as quickly as possible. I get that. But it's not a problem that it takes a little bit longer, as long as you're making money selling. Now, if we did away with selling, if we didn't make money by selling, and we only made money by the team commissions, that's a problem, because it takes too long to start generating enough money to make it worth the time. So we want both of these lines to occur. And what happens if you don't make enough money? What happens if it's not worth it during the first 2-3 months? Where's the heaviest attrition rate? Right here. Right there. First 90 days. Statistically, half of the people who fall out in the first year since they join fall out in the first 90 days. So if we can help them stay with us because they're making $25 an hour by selling, what happens then? Retention rate zooms up. They stick with it beyond their 90 days. And guess what happens then? They start making money on team commissions just like you, and they're going to stick for a long time. There's the secret. Help them to earn $25 an hour quickly, like first week. Go out. If you're in party plan, do a party. If you're not party plan, go out and find some customers. Sell to some of your friends. Help them to get on auto ship. Whatever your selling approach is. But you do that, and they're going to stick. And that will buy you time, because as they start recruiting 1 by 1, 2 by 2, then their team commissions will start taking over, and they will become more successful, just like you. Now, this visual is not intended to mean that it'll take you a year before your team commissions is as much as your personal profits. No, don't get hung up on how many months is here. This is just an illustration. It could be 2 or 3 months and you're making more money on your team commissions. It could be 2 or 3 years. It depends on how you build your business. It's all up to you. But the concept that team commissions take longer to build than profits from selling, that is spot on. It's a principle. It's a concept. Timeless. Okay. Now here's another concept and principle that we need to recognize. The consultant spends time on the business, noted by the arrow over here. Time on the business goes into the business, say an hour. And out of that hour, the consultant gets some money out. This is usually from selling. Now, if that consultant wants to double their income, they need to double their time. Simple. But what that means is that there is no real leverage that's occurring. The fulcrum, the little triangle there, is in the middle of that lever. 1 hour in equals 1 hour worth of money out. Now, the interesting thing that we learn is that as a person builds their team, they recruit and teach them to succeed, eventually becoming a team manager. Again, 8, 12, 15, 20 or so team members, whatever. The time they spend on the business on the left gives them much more money coming out. Why? Because not only are they spending their time selling, but they're earning a commission override on their team. You could be on a cruise ship with your family in the Caribbean and still be earning hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month because others are selling product, generating volume, on which you get paid a commission. That's what happens as you build your team. Now, the next stage is that of leaders. A leader learns how to create even more leverage by creating teams of people below them on which they get paid generous commissions. And a leader is not necessarily a full-time person still. Most leaders are part-time, 20 hours a week maybe, sometimes 15, sometimes 25. There are lots of leaders who are full-time. But the amazing thing is, successful leaders often are earning a full-time income on a part-time level of engagement. That's the magic of this business. But it's only done through leverage. There's the secret. And the leverage comes by having other people do the work. Andrew Carnegie was an industrialist in America in the early 1900s. He owned a big steel factory, a big steel company. He was a multi-millionaire. He said, rather than do the work of 10 men, I would get 10 men to do the work. I love that. That's our business. Leverage. So make it work for you. And the reason I'm sharing this is because it goes to the foundation of becoming a team manager. You're learning how to use leverage. Now, we talked about the first principle, or first step of selling and recruiting. This is your personal business, and then teaching others to do the same. Now, the second step out of the 3 to become a team manager is to find your rising stars. Now, you've got a team now of 10 or 15 or 20 people, other consultants. Some are very engaged and some are not. That's okay. That's how it works. Everybody is not fully engaged. It never happens that way. You can't expect it to happen that way. But some, if you had 12 people on your team, you will have 2 or 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 that are very motivated, very engaged. They want to become like you. Those are your rising stars. We're going to talk more about that in a second. But the concept is here, you can't do it by yourself. If you create a business where everything depends on you, when you go off on the cruise ship, everything stops. This is not a business. This is a problem. You have to do it with helpers. Building a team, as it notes here, is the key. You can create sustainable growth by doing that. So how do you build a team? Well, you hunt for your rising stars. This is the second step. You turn them into helpers.
so that they're not depending on you as much. They know how to sell. They know how to recruit. They are becoming a team manager like you. So if you do it that way, you will not burn out. You will enjoy this business, see your income grow, but your time commitment, the level of engagement you spend, will not be increasing. You can have a balanced life because others are helping. That's the beauty of this. If you learn how to do that, you will love this business. So, find your rising stars. There you go. That's the second step. So, how do you find your rising stars? Who are they? Well, here's 3 different types of rising stars that you can be looking for in your team. And sometimes a person may be 2 or all 3 of these things. Look for them. First, your sellers. These are people who don't yet have a team below them. They don't have any recruits yet. Or if they do, maybe it's 1 or 2 that they recruited a few months ago. And that's okay. But the sellers are selling consistently every month. They're earning the vast majority, if not all, of their income from their personal selling. This is okay. This is great. These are rising stars. As you work with them, you will help them to also build a team. Many of these sellers may start out saying, I really am not interested in building a team. I just want to sell. Well, that's okay. But as you work with them, help them to catch a bigger vision that they can sell and enjoy helping others to succeed and be well rewarded for it. So find your sellers. These are your rising stars. And even if they don't build a team, they're generating volume on which you're getting paid a healthy commission. Help them to succeed as sellers. Then you have a second group, recruiters. Now, I separate this group into 2 subgroups. The first recruiter I would look for or the first group would be the people who join my team who recruit for their first time. This is a key milestone. It puts them on the map, and that they need your attention. Because in most cases, when they recruit their first recruit, they don't yet really know what to do, how to do it, how to help that recruit succeed. This is where you may step in. If they're not a personal recruit of yours, work with their sponsor. And if their sponsor is not up to helping them, you step in. But you want these people who recruit their first person to succeed. You look after them. Do not assume that they're going to know what to do. For the first recruit, that's usually the case. Back to your first child, remember that what I just talked about a minute ago? When I held my oldest son, Brian, in my arms, what humbled me, what scared me, was I'd never done this before. I'd never been a dad. I was going to learn how to do this. Now, I had some good examples that I could follow in my life, but I also had some bad examples, and I wanted to make sure I didn't follow those patterns. And so it is with a person who recruits their first recruit. They need good examples to follow, and that needs to be you. Give them the example. Take an active role in their business with them. Don't do it for them. Please don't do it for them, but help them succeed as they do it. So, people who bring in their first recruit, they're on the map. They're one of your rising stars. The other group, the second group, are those who are consistently building their team. They're recruiting. Like every month, they're recruiting somebody. Boy, as soon as you find a person like that, latch onto them. Work with them, help them succeed, because they are part of that leverage concept. They will generate in time potentially thousands of dollars of commissions for you. Boy, you want these are These are diamonds that you want to be working with. So, rising stars, sellers and recruiters so far. The third group are the builders. They're not just recruiting and they're not just selling. They're figuring it out of how to teach others to sell and recruit. They're figuring out this mentoring, coaching, training thing. As they do that, these are your best rising stars because they're going to become team managers just like you, soccer coaches, parents of a family. They're the ones that will offload from you a lot of the work that you would otherwise need to do with the people below them and their team. As they learn the skills to sell and recruit and teach others to do the same, and they become a team manager just like you, then they're going to be generating thousands of dollars of volume on which you will get paid. So look for people who are advancing up the career path. And the quicker the better. You know, if they really are pedal to the metal, or if they're really pushing hard to advance quickly, wow, that's a diamond. Work with them. Help them to succeed. But the other group might not be advancing as quickly, but they are every month consistently qualifying. Those are rising stars as well. Some of them will at times advance and other times maybe not advance, but they'll be paid consistently at title. The yo-yos that they qualify this month, they don't qualify at title next month, and maybe a few months later they qualify again. Those people are not as strong. I'm not saying ignore them. You can help them, but your time really is more deserved by the people who are not the yo-yos, meaning the on again, off again. You know what I mean. So how do you find those people? Well, as it notes here on the right, use your computer. Use the reports. If you're not sure how to use them, ask your sponsor or your upline how those reports can help you find your rising stars. And if they can't help you, call up the support center and ask them for help. The tools are there. This is, again, not rocket science. Okay, now, third step. Once you find your rising stars, what do? Help them rank up. Help them to get to the next title. Well, how do you do that? You know who you want to work with. You know what you want to do. You want to help them to get to the next title. How do you do it? I'm going to give you 3 suggestions. These are patterns of success that I see in other leaders around the world. First, you find their why. Why are they in the business? We'll talk about each of these in a minute. Second, you show them the benefit of advancing. Third, you train, coach, and mentor. There's your key. Once you find them, this is your plan. This is your game plan. This is what you do. So let's talk about each of these. Find their why. So let's suppose that I was to recruit you, that I recruit you. You're one of my recruits now. I'm going to spend time with you. The first thing I would do with you, I'd come over to your house and I'd sit down at your kitchen table. We'd go through your business kit. And the first thing I do is kind of have a little friendly interview. And the first thing I do is share my story with you. Here's why I'm in the business. Here's what I love about this business. Here's why I stick with it. Here's what my hopes and dreams are. I would try to help you connect to me and why I'm in the business. Once I do that, once I've shared with you my why, I want to know your why. So that's exactly what you do. Tell me why you've joined. What brought you to make that decision? And be prepared to take some notes. Write down each of the points that they might share as their why. Why is that so important? Because one of your roles as their sponsor, one of your vital key roles, is that you're going to become the advocate of their why. When they get disappointed or discouraged, you're going to talk to them about their whys. Why are you in the business? As an example, let's suppose I recruited you.
And we're sitting down at your kitchen table, and I share you with my why, and then I say, okay, now tell me why you've joined the business. Let's suppose your name is Sarah. Sarah, why are you in the business? And you say, our family, we've got 3 kids now. The oldest is 10. We've always dreamed of going to Disney World for a week, but it's expensive, and so we're saving up for that. I want to afford to go on a vacation with my family, and eventually I'd love to do it every year. Maybe not Disney World, but some nice vacation, maybe a cruise or something like that. But our first goal is go to Disney World for a week. And I would say, well, how much do you think, Sarah, that would cost? Well, I figured out with airfare and hotels and all the other stuff, about $5,000. Great. So if I could help you achieve that goal, would you want me to help you? Notice that question. Because what I'm doing by asking that question is inviting you to open up a door to let me come in and be the advocate of your why. So, of course, you're going to say yes. Now, again, what's the question? Would you like my help to help you achieve that goal? That's the question. You want my help? You're going to say yes. And your eyes are going to light up. And I'm going to say something like, Sarah, I'm willing to help you. I'm willing to do it if you're willing to do your part. There's the if. I'm not going to do it for you. I can't. This is on you. But I will help you to accomplish that goal. And I can guarantee, Sarah, if you're willing to do your part, you will achieve that goal. I promise you will. But you got to do your part. Are you willing to do that, Sarah? You say, of course I am. I'm willing to. Well, that brings us now to the next thing, the next step here. Ask them how much time they will work, hours per week, and when each week. So draw up a little chart. A chart for you, make a copy for you and for your recruit. The chart looks kind of like this. The columns have the days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The chart has rows of morning, afternoon, and evening. And then here's the question I'd ask you if you were Sarah. Say, Sarah, let's put some dollar signs in these little boxes here of when you think you could work the business every week. Mostly. Yeah, there'll be some weeks where that come up that you can't. But for the most part, when are you willing to work the business? And you put your dollar signs in the boxes like this. This is part of the magic. What's just happened? Sarah has made a commitment to herself and a commitment to her sponsor of when she's going to work the business. She's invited the sponsor to be the advocate of her why. And this is where, in a kind and loving way, accountability comes in. Because I'm going to follow up with Sarah. If you were Sarah, I'd follow up with you every week and see how you're doing. Sarah, tell me how you did this week. Were you able to work on your Tuesday and Thursday evening? And you might say, well, life is really busy. We had so many other things and I didn't do it. Well, we're going to talk about what happens when they didn't follow through in just a second. So, find their why. Help them to make the commitment so that their why becomes real. It's a goal. And then you become the advocate of their why. The second step is to help them advance, is to connect the dots. Show them the benefit of advancing. So, in every person's mind, there's a question. Is it worth it? Is it going to be worth it? If I put in, say, 10 hours a week of my spare time, is it going to be worth it to me? And if the answer is yes, they stick. If the answer is no, they go. It's really that simple. So the first question, is it worth it? You've got to talk with Sarah, your recruit, about that. If you were Sarah, I'd talk to you about that. Is it worth it? And I'd help you to connect the dots, to see that it is going to be worth it. Why is it going to be worth it? Remember the 2 lines, personal commissions from selling, and the second line of team commissions by building a team and getting overrides on them. Is it worth it? I have to help Sarah see that. Then the second point, show them how they will earn more as they advance. Get to the first step in the career path, the second step in the career path. They need to see how they're going to earn more as they advance. Otherwise, why are they going to want to advance? And if they don't advance, you will not see increases in your income very much, because advancing requires more volume. And it also leads to increased retention. You've got to help them advance, to rank up. So show them why they should advance. You connect the reward to their why. So let's suppose that you get to platinum consultant, and right now Sarah's at a bronze consultant, and you see that you can show her that as a platinum consultant, she's going to be earning $300 a month more than she would at a bronze. If you can show her that, you ask her, what would you do with the extra $300 a month? In my example, Sarah would say, I'm putting that into my savings. We can make it. If I can earn an extra $300 by becoming platinum, that might be a total of $500, $600 a month. We can get there. We can get to Disney World. You've got to help her see what she's got to do to earn sufficient to achieve her why. Help them to visualize the result. That's a really important aspect of the whole thing. So how do you do that? Well, I love to use pictures. Use a goal or thermometer chart. So what would I do? If you were Sarah, I would go print some pictures of Disney World with happy families, with Mickey Mouse, and I would print those out and suggest that she put them on her refrigerator for the whole family to see, so that the whole family's behind her. Put them on her mirror in her bathroom. As she does her makeup in the morning, she can see that goal. So help her to visualize that. Place the pictures where they see it often. That's the key. You are the advocate of their why. Take that role seriously. If you do, they're far more likely to achieve their goals. Now, the third step is what you've been learning to do yourself. Train, coach, and mentor. Now, again, this is not rocket science either. Think of yourself like, again, a team coach. If it was soccer or football, people outside the United States call it football. We call it soccer here in the United States. So if it was soccer, the coach of the team would train correct principles, mentor by example, show the team members how it's done, and work with them one-on-one if necessary, and then coach with accountability. What do I mean by that? Think of a fitness coach. If you had a fitness coach, you go down to your local gym or athletic club, and you say, I need a coach. Well, you'd be introduced to somebody. You'd probably have to pay them some money because they're going to spend time with you. But that coach is going to figure out your why. They're going to interview you, and you're going to share, here's what I want to do. I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to gain some muscle mass, or I want to improve my health, or whatever those things might be. The coach is going to hold you accountable for goals that you set. It's the same thing here. You get permission to hold your recruit accountable for the goals they set. Please don't set the goals for them. Help them to set the goals. If you set the goals for them, they're your goals, not theirs. And if they fail, it's your fault, not theirs. So you always let them set the goals, but then you coach with accountability to help them achieve them. You train them correct principles. You train them on skills, but principles are timeless. Principles are the reason why you do something. Train those principles. Their behavior will follow the principles. And then you show an example.
You invite them, if you're a party plan, you'd invite them to some of your parties that you're doing and let them watch you. You become a mentor that way. You show them by example. So here's the training, coaching, mentoring slide. We talked about the first question, is it worth it? There's a second question, which deals with belief. Can I do it? And the answer to that will be yes, if you train, coach, and mentor them. But if you don't, the answer to that question will likely be no. And the behavior will not follow. Behavior science is something that I love. I study it, I read books about it, and behavior science tells us these two questions are always in play. Is it worth it? Can I do it? And if the answer is yes to both, behavior changes. Think of it for your kids. If you have an 8-year-old son who is not cleaning his bedroom, but you're trying to get him to clean his bedroom, focus on those two questions. Is it worth it? Can he do it? If you reward your 8-year-old son for cleaning his bedroom, but he doesn't know how to do it, whatever you do for reward isn't going to work. But if you can show him how to clean his bedroom in like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or whatever, do it quick and make it good. If you can show him how to do that, a reward will work very effectively. Skill works with reward, always. The two work hand in hand, they synergize. So in the training, coaching, and mentoring, you show them clearly what they need to do. Show them. You focus on 2 or 3 vital behaviors, not 8 or 10, 2 or 3 vital behaviors. Now, there might be different behaviors at different times in their career. That's okay. But help them to focus on 2 or 3 vital behaviors and what they will get if they master those behaviors or skills. Help them to create a weekly plan. Be clear and specific. What's required of them? And commit. Help them to commit. You commit to them, help them to commit to their goals. Are you willing to do this if I help you? Now, if they say no to that, then you're not going to commit to them, are you? You work with people who deserve your time. You do not work with people who demand your time. One of the great lessons I've learned from leaders in this industry. Lastly, you be their coach. Don't be their mother. Don't clean their rooms for them. They don't learn anything when the mom cleans the room. They have to clean the room. They have to recruit. They have to sell. Do not place people underneath them, for them. Don't recruit some people and say, Sarah, I'm going to put Mary here, who I just recruited, right underneath you. No. Don't do that. They need to recruit. They need to experience success and failure. But if you coach them, they will be much more likely to succeed. You always ask permission to follow up. Can I call you next Saturday to see how you did? When they give you permission, it makes it comfortable for you to ask them if they work their plan. You review the weekly plan, you make adjustments. If 2 nights a week and an afternoon on the weekend is too much, maybe they bit off more than they can chew, scale the plan back. Can Sarah work 1 evening a week and maybe a Saturday afternoon? Figure out a plan that she can stick to. Now, when you call up Sarah and ask her how she did on her plan, you call her up Saturday morning, and she says, I really didn't have any time to do anything this week. It was a crazy week. You need to act devastated, disappointed. Now, don't be angry. But you need to make sure that she knows it's not okay. How can you claim to be the advocate of her why when it's okay if she does nothing to achieve her why? You can't. If you accept the role of being the advocate of her why, she needs to know that it's not.
So if you're working with your recruit, let's suppose it's Sarah, there is a time if Sarah does not follow through when it's time to move on. When you spend time with one person, you have to realize you cannot spend time with another. Your time is limited. Everyone's time is limited. We're only given 24 hours a day, and there are things that we have to do. And your goal is to have a balanced life. If you're a mom or a dad, you need to have a balanced life with your family. Family comes first. It has to be that way. So you've got to realize that spending time with someone who's not doing their part, not acceptable. You have to learn how to move on, and we're going to talk about that. So when you say yes to one, you're saying no to somebody else as far as your time. Last point, if you try to be everything to everybody, you're trying to do everything for everybody or whatever, in the end, you'll be nothing to nobody. You can't let that happen. One of the patterns I find of leader success is that they master this skill, how to say no to somebody, how to move on, so that their time, which they consider very valuable, very precious, is spent with the right people. This is a skill. You need to learn it. So, last slide. Learn to say no. Here's a dialogue. So, Sally, Sarah, Martha, whatever your name would be, if you're the one who's not following through, not doing your part. I call this technique the Oreo cookie technique, where you know how an Oreo cookie has the chocolate on the outside and the icing in the middle. There's three layers. Another way to look at it is the warm fuzzy, cold prickly, warm fuzzy approach. And so you start by giving a warm fuzzy. I cherish your friendship and know that you're really busy. Now comes the cold prickly. I really wish I had more time to spend with you, but I have others who are very committed to building their business and need more of my time. So I'm saying no in a kind way. And here comes the last warm fuzzy. Please call me when you're ready to work a weekly plan to make a great part-time income. I will be there for you. So what you haven't done is rejected her. What you've done is established some rules. I'm here for you when you're willing to do your part, but I can't spend time with you unless you do your part. That's what you're trying to say. This is part of learning to say no in a kind and loving way. So master this skill. So how do you work the plan? I just covered it with you. And honestly, this can apply to virtually any comp plan out there, no matter what. And it can apply to party plan, one-on-one, or even a buying club approach. So this is Dan Jensen. I hope that you're enjoying this training. Join me for the next segment, which is on leadership. How do you work the plan for leaders?